on this topic. I just want to share this. Diana Rossini on her podcast dropped this. So we all know J.J. McCarthy is struggling. He's got the lowest passer rating in the NFL for a starting quarterback, like by a lot. He's last in completion percentage, TD to interception ratio, passer rating among 33 qualified quarterbacks. No reason to bury the kid, but he's not great at all. But she said, there's an interesting line here. But more than that, it's the vibes around him all season have been weird. From how he was really doing in camp, it was like they were hiding or suppressing information, to the fact that Carson Wentz, we discovered, was actually trying to play through a torn labrum before finally going on IR. And then suddenly J.J. McCarthy was healthy enough to play once again. It does feel weird. And now I've said, play him until the end of the season. There's no reason to not play him. But this does, Diana Rossini's opinion here does validate and double down on a truth. If he was a cornerback, a wide receiver, a weak side linebacker, or a safety, I wouldn't care as much about his slow start. I would be willing to be more patient. But the reason I'm so brutal on Johnny Manziel or Baker Mayfield or Cam Newton or a J.J. McCarthy is quarterback is the one position that everybody relies on, including the coach, to eat. In the NBA, over my lifetime, it's become almost positionless. I mean, what is LeBron? Whatever they need that night. Shooter, distributor, 3, 4. But even parents with their children will name a specific child to be executor of the will. They feel he or she's better with money, assets, and responsibility. Even a parent has a hierarchy in the will for their own kids. And that's the reality of pro football. College too, but more pro football. Quarterbacks have to be more mature, faster. And the weird thing doesn't play. And for the record, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Drake May are durable. And nobody wants to hear this, and it sounds unfair. But J.J. McCarthy could have 27 starts already, and he's got 5.
All right. So he suffered a meniscus tear, an injury that is far from uncommon among athletes. To immediately launch into a narrative claiming J.J. McCarthy is an absolute failure and so forth is, first and foremost, misguided. Let's be clear, J.J. McCarthy is not an oddity. The implication seems to be that being somehow unconventional is a liability, or that a certain level of professionalism is non-negotiable. The reality is that J.J. McCarthy possesses a profound level of maturity, and there is nothing peculiar about his demeanor. He does not exhibit strange idiosyncrasies or behavioral traits that would give anyone pause. This is the exact same kind of rhetoric we heard regarding Caleb Williams. It's the same script they used for Baker Mayfield. It's the same dialogue that surrounded Johnny Manziel. Presently, that specific criticism is not being leveled at J.J. McCarthy. The atmosphere was always going to be intensely pressurized from the moment J.J. McCarthy was slated to join this franchise and assume the starting role, precisely because of what this squad achieved in the previous campaign. That was always the underlying narrative that many analysts attempted to cautiously avoid acknowledging, that transitioning away from Sam Darnold represented a genuine, tangible gamble. Certain commentators wanted to convince you that it wasn't a risk at all. Consequently, this prevailing sentiment emerged that JJ was destined for immediate greatness, that everything would be fine, and he would instantly perform at a high level. They were unwilling to allow any space for a first-year quarterback to actually experience the natural progression of a rookie. And, it's simply an exceedingly challenging set of circumstances for anyone to navigate. The core issue, however, is that he got hurt. It was a straightforward physical setback. As a result, he was unable to take the field. He couldn't participate in practice sessions. He was deprived of the opportunity to learn, evolve, and refine his skills. Recall that segment I played featuring Dan Orlovsky discussing his technical fundamentals and those previous ailments affecting his lower body. If we're going to initiate a conversation about his resilience and then compare it to Caleb Williams or Bo Nix or Drake May, that holds zero significance for me at this juncture. Attempting to prognosticate how durable or injury-prone J.J. McCarthy will be approximately 1.5 seasons into his professional journey means absolutely nothing to me. It carries no weight. It is irrelevant. I assign no value to it whatsoever. And we need to cease this pretense that his physical sturdiness has suddenly become a component of the evaluation regarding his quality as a player. That's simply illogical. It truly is. That's a baseless assertion. And the commentator in question knows more than this as well, because he was also advocating for the scenario where Sam Darnold would begin the season as the starter and J.J. McCarthy would remain on the bench for the entire year, provided J.J. was physically sound. That was my perspective too. I consistently stated that I believed J.J. would initially be the backup, and Sam Darnold would get the nod. And then, as it happened, circumstances dictated the outcome for everyone. But to reiterate the point, consider the case of Bo Nix. Bo Nix appeared thoroughly ineffective in his initial appearances as a starter. He looked completely overmatched. And this was within a supportive structure. He was guided by an excellent head coach. He operated behind a proficient offensive line. He had a capable group of pass catchers, and he was backed by a stellar defensive unit. He was mentored by a coach with significantly more experience than Kevin O'Connell, a coach who has won a Super Bowl, a coach who previously instructed a quarterback like Drew Brees. Therefore, we simply still need to maintain perspective. We still just need to relax, everyone. We still just need to take a breath. It is perfectly acceptable to exercise a little patience. I genuinely do hold the belief that yes, J.J. McCarthy requires further cultivation, that J.J. McCarthy is not fully polished at this very moment, and that he is currently enduring these typical early career developmental struggles. I consider that a completely reasonable assessment. However, and this is the crucial point, this is what they are attempting to insinuate, that they genuinely preferred Carson Wentz to start over J.J. And I believe that viewpoint has merit and is comprehensible. And yet, even with Carson Wentz under center, the results were still disastrous. He was being consistently overwhelmed. Pass catchers were failing to secure throws, the offensive line was collapsing, and there was negligible support from the ground game. It reached a point where it seemed no signal caller could thrive. And again, this brings me back to that clip of Orlovsky stating, "I am uncertain which quarterback you place in this environment. I do not believe any quarterback would find success there currently." And there you have the situation laid bare. But it is somewhat intriguing because we witnessed Caleb Williams encounter substantial difficulties during the previous season. And I am aware that the counter-argument is that he had inferior coaching and that JJ is in a more advantageous position from a coaching standpoint. And that is a valid point, 100% valid. But what some observers would argue is that they still perceived glimpses of that exceptional talent. Those specific instances where Caleb would mount a comeback or make plays in critical fourth-quarter situations, and so on. And we have witnessed those identical flashes of potential with J.J. McCarthy. Now, depending on which day you happen to listen to some of these pundits discussing Caleb Williams, they will either still contend, I just don't see it with him, or they will proclaim, this young player, it's all coming together, this is excellent. And it makes you wonder. They've expressed copious amounts of both opinions, so what is the actual truth? But I mean, I haven't even observed. No, I'll simply conclude here. It is acceptable to have patience. Let us just wait and see. Let's, we claim we do not wish to write him off, but then we immediately turn around and suggest, he's probably a failure. It's as if we are preparing to categorize him with Johnny Manziel already. And I'm not entirely convinced that is a wholly equitable comparison at this stage, either. So, yeah, it's just a peculiar scenario overall, a strange set of circumstances. I am looking forward to this weekend's game. I am eager to observe his performance. I am also keen to see what measures Kevin O'Connell implements to assist JJ. What adjustments does he make to simplify the game for his young quarterback? That is my primary focus. That is what I am most interested in witnessing. But these are simply my opinions. I would truly appreciate hearing your perspectives. What are all of your thoughts concerning J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings? Do you believe it is prematurely definitive to label J.J. a total bust after roughly his first half-dozen starts in his entire professional life? Share your viewpoints in the comment section below. I read every single comment. Whether your opinion aligns with mine or contradicts it, either way, let's engage in some dialogue. Let's have some spirited debates. But in the end, Let's simply enjoy the process. And please consider subscribing to the channel. We are constructing a fantastic community here, and I would absolutely be delighted to have you as a member. I aspire to create an entity that we all feel a genuine connection to, something we are genuinely thrilled to participate in. I believe we are making significant progress toward that objective. Please also remember to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely enhances its visibility within the platform's algorithm. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you next time.